from the ground up is all about us learning with you, with all these experts that we are bringing on, from simple strategies to the most advanced property strategies. These people are all successful in what they do and have so much information to share to you, and we cannot wait for you to listen. Guillaume, it's good to have you, my friend. How have you been?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, always a pleasure to see you guys.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you on this. I know a lot of people are going to get so much value from this because you guys are making so much noise in the industry. I feel like every time I go to a new networking event and property filters always popping up here everywhere, which is crazy to think. The business is how old now? Only what, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. We incorporated 3 years. But the reality is people don't realize is we built this for ourselves, way back. So
Yeah.
to start, it was just an internal tool and we were quite immature, people wanted it. We're like, well, build your own. So so it's a kind of a bit of a weird thing, but
Yeah, well, give us I'm sure people know so much about you, but give it a little background about yourself specifically. I know a lot of people have heard about Property Filter, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. But what makes you you, mate? What
yeah. So
happened before
basically,
Property Filter?
yeah, I'm an engineer. I used to build bridges. So I used to build. I realized my childhood dream. I wanted to build big ass bridges, and you need to be careful what you wish for because then you get it, and then you work 6, 7 days, 13 days in a row, 15-hour days, the other side of the world, and you're wondering why the hell am I doing this? And so I did this for sort of 5 years overseas since 2016, and then after 5 years, I moved to UK in 2016, and I then repair bridges, and I had really a really fast career. And at some point you realize that you don't want the boss's job anymore. You're like, why the hell am I doing this? And then and then I had really zero work-life balance because I moved like 15 times in 8 different countries in like the span of
Yeah,
10
wow.
years, which is cool at the start, like it's cool to be in the airplanes and stuff. And it's like, seems cool, but then you have zero life, zero base, you forget to be who you are and things. And it's a bit quite, it gets a bit, you lose yourself a bit. And then you have to either continue and break yourself more, or you kind of stop and realize, okay, man, what do I want to, what the fuck do I want to do with my life, So
Yeah, it's super true. I think everyone hits like a breaking point where they grow in a company, and I think that's why a lot of people turn to property is like they need an out and they don't know what to do. They know that property can make money, and it's something that people just always kind of fixate onto, but then they realize that that's a bit of a minefield as well.
That's the
And
reality,
then
isn't there? Versus what you see.
yeah, exactly. And then so what's the transition between like that job and then property filter? Because obviously, like you said, you build it for yourself. Um, and then you're now here run this company that's
yeah.
doing really well.
It was all an accident, So we started to do property. So I'm a very concrete guy, as in a very pragmatic. I need to see things being built and I need to see progress and things like that. So I always loved property. So I actually started in France in 2011, 2012, 2013. But you don't make the money you make in property like you do here. So, but I always liked it. So I did a few deals there, barn conversions and some flats and stuff. And then 2016, 17, as I was starting to look for a way out, I was like, okay, I understand property. So then you go in the rabbit holes of going onto YouTube, and then your Facebook feed is full of guru ads and stuff, and you go into people's funnels and webinars and masterclass and things like that. And then I realized, I think what really hooked me was the finance system here. So interest-only mortgages and the fact that you can refinance. So you can't do this, in many countries actually in this way. You can't pull
Really?
more equity than your loan balance in France, for example. So I'm like, I can use this pot of cash, multiple times on multiple projects. And then I thought, okay, this is really interesting. And then we sort of invested in doing property well. But then the reality is, you go through these phase of uninformed optimism to informed pessimism. So everybody's telling you how easy it is, or everybody's doing it, and how easy it is. All you need to do is find motivated sellers, right? And then you do a deal, and after a deal, and then you are 2 rent-to-rent deals away from sitting on the beach and being financially free. So everybody has to go through this phase where then if you survive this phase, I think it's where you start to do well. But a lot of people churn there, you know, like they move from one side hustle to the other. Property is just one distraction amongst crypto, forex, and all sorts of stuff. And then if you really, I think you need to love it. You know, you need to love you need not bricks and mortar, but love the fact that it's concrete. You can own it, and own it and love enough the fact that it's housing people and the whole thing of property. And then once you pass that hurdle of actually it's not complicated, you know, but but also it's not easy, you know. It's like easy and simple is not the same thing, like so. And then when it's okay, all I need to do is understand the blueprint, understand what I need, you know, what are the steps, and then follow the steps. So if I don't know the steps, I figure it out from someone, and then I've got a bit of a plan, and then it's just execution. There's nothing really complicated about it. It's just repeating a bit of a process, and then that's it. Property is quite, it's quite a really, really rewarding long term, and I think you need to be, you need to love it. You need to be attracted to it more than other stuff. And then you move from this uninformed optimism to this informed sort of pessimism to then this informed optimism where like, okay, I understand what I need to do. I just need to follow the steps. And then you make it work, and it's very, very predictable, you know?
Yeah. I used to talk a lot about that framework that you just explained there, where you kind of going through those stages. And I used to like coach people on their businesses and their marketing, because it's so true. Like you have to go through those stages to the point where it just becomes like driving car. Doesn't mean you're not concentrating, you're not working hard, but you know the moves, you know what needs to be done. It's just about doing it, isn't it? And that's kind of where you want to get to. But even then, there's still hurdles constantly and new challenges. But I think things that were a challenge in the early stages are no longer such a scary thing, are they? You just know how to deal with them. It just doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah. Every time you do something new, everything is new. You know, like like purchasing a property is like, what are all these fees? You know, like refinancing. Like, what do you mean I need another, what is it that I need to sign today? Another independent legal advice for like the 10th time this year, you know, like for another thing, you know. So like, look, I've done, so once you understand these, it's just this, like riding a bike, you know, it's easy. But where people get distracted as well is you can jump around at the ecosystem level, you know, property versus another side hustle, but then within property or within anything, I guess is the same, is like the strategies, you know, it's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. So I see people do a lot of mistakes where they come really not being clear on why they're here, what they're trying to achieve. So they'll come into property to get financially free, you know. So I've deleted this phrase from my vocabulary since years, you know, probably 5 years. Like it doesn't raise, it's got a lot of baggage with me. I don't really like it. So, but then they don't really know why they are here, you know. So then they will jump around from one strategy to another, because every time they go to an event or every time they listen to some content or they watch something, it's like, this seems to be easier. This seems to be easier, and they never focus enough, and they never build enough longevity into focus into one thing to make it work, and they don't really know why they do one thing over another. So we get a lot of people to come to us and they say, we want to do rent-to-rent, lease options, and commercial to resi. It's like, what are you talking about, you know? It doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense. There's only three strategies in property. You're here for the monthly cash flow, you're here for the capital appreciation, or you're here for making like quick, capital events, you know, where you buy and sell, where you broker deals and you make 5K to broker a deal, or you make 20K on a flip or an assisted sale. Or you buy then the very boring assets, you know, that are going to be in your pension long term, the real passive stuff, you know. And then the other thing is in the same way is people will put in the same sentence things like rent to rent and financial freedom, you know, like it's like you don't understand, you know, like you really like one is a very noisy cash flow business. You need to scale, and like you guys have done a really brilliantly. And I know very little, you know, very few people like who have the mindset looking at it as a business and cater for it like a business like you guys do. And then you've got the right mindset to then scale it, having the system, the process, because you understand it's a business, you know, it's not 2 deals away from being sitting on the beach, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree
A lot
anymore.
longer than
And
2 years. Yeah. I think we feel farther than 2 miles away from the beach.
Yeah, I know. And look, like you just said there, like I couldn't agree more. People try to jump between different things. They want to be an expert because, like you said, there's so much content online. And I agree. I think financial freedom is such a broken kind of way of looking at just quitting your job. Like I want to just quit my job. it could just be as simple as that. Like, I want to work for myself because, we technically right now have financial freedom, if we want to call that. We've left out both jobs, we're growing a really successful business, but we're working harder than we have ever in our own, like, in our life. And I know you can relate to that as well with
I've left the 9 to 5. I've left the 9 to 5 and joined the 5 to 9.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think how has that shift been for yourself? Because going from basically you started accidentally. You never thought you were going to be in this position, and you've kind of just ran with it. How has that transition been from working for someone else, being your own property business, to now this big business that's growing quite rapidly, especially a SaaS company, because there's a lot.
Yeah. I think there's something to. I went through the whole cycle of. Again, I don't like the sentence passive income as well, because it's not passive at all. But I went, and I went through. I'll come back to the property thing, but just to go full circle, I feel like I went back to making active income cool again. So there's a lot for myself. I'm not preaching that anybody does one thing or another. I don't, people do what they want, but I feel like, okay, property is great as a wealth multiplier vehicle, but I find that actually having the trading business like you have as the foundation of everything, for the cash flow, you can flick a switch, and grow super fast, a lot faster than you can do through capital acquisition. So I've actually, all of this is an accident, so we started to do property. We invested a lot in, we went all in property basically. So it's like, okay, let's make this work. And we really struggled, you went through these phases, and it's like, well, the deals are not everywhere. It's a lot harder than we were told, and we really struggled because despite doing, like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 viewings a week, we're just randomly booking viewings based on the pictures, the layout, and then you turn up at properties and you're like, well, nobody wants to do a deal, nothing stacks out there. And I think because we are engineers, we disconstruct everything. And so it's like, okay, so what works? What are the fundamentals of things, So yeah, after a good 18 months of committing to this and achieving very little results, I'm like, okay, so what are the fundamental truths, maybe some contrarian truths, And one is that, nobody can, everything is downstream from your ability to finding good deals, So like if you want to scale a portfolio and things like that, you'll run out of money no matter how much money you have if you just, do bad deals. And then you lose money as well if you do like poor deals. So it's like really all the success are downstream to this. So how do we find the good deals? And again, the two really half of the same coin here for us has been, okay, so the reality is that we have this big property market, but it's a big market of, people are not really, it doesn't really make sense what people do, like people take weird decisions, So it's very much driven by people, the media, and sentiment and things like that. So property is very much a people business, and the best deals are bought from circumstances. They are bought from motivated sellers, They are bought from people who need to sell for other reasons than achieving the best price, And that was quite interesting. So the sort of the nuts and bolts of that. And because if you look at the data, and we sit on like more data than Rightmove, we sit on like the biggest property-related database of all things property, but the data only gives you an average performance of an area, So the way you buy above performing assets is actually by buying from people who need to sell, And it's how do you find and engage with them? And then the other side is property. If it's a people's business, it's a numbers game. So how do we make the numbers work? So there's a double entendre here where it needs to stack. So you need to be quite clear what you're looking for. But the real, what I really mean here is like the deals are in the follow-up. It's a numbers game. It's how many offers you put in every week, how many offers you put in every month, and then you follow up. We've got people who've done 30, 50 deals, on Property Filter, and they all tell you the same thing. Like 90% of the deals they do, is just 3 months, 6 months after putting the first offer, and it's in the follow-up. So when I said at the start, it's a process to follow. Like like once you understand what are the steps, follow it like that. So it really took us a while, and we failed for a long time. Like we failed for a long time to find deals, and then we created this piece of tech that just qualified the viewings. So we just wanted to do 10 times fewer viewings. We just wanted to speak with people who wanted to do deals. That's what it was doing for us at the start. And then we started to do quite well, started to get some awards and recognition in the property industry. So our property friends, everybody wanted to try the software, and this is where we go like, well, build your own, mate. Like, what are you asking me for? Yeah,
Get away!
it's
It's my deals.
Yeah, like, it was very immature, super immature, like zero business minded, just finished, like just straight out of a job, and like, well, this is my office, like, why are you here? And yeah, quite immaturely. And then we just ended up. We were a bit not pressured, but like people really wanted it, so we gave it away to a few of our friends in our close circles, and they started to do quite well. And then they started to ask us for more stuff, and we're like, well, it took us a while to understand that there was an opportunity. And it took we need to unlearn a lot. I've grown so much through the thing, and I've become really addicted to this whole like personal growth and thing like that, but not so much by reading books, but just by the necessity of the environment we created for ourselves, or that's created around us by the people demanding things. And then you need to learn or to filter from good to have feedback to must have feedback. What do they really mean? So speaking with like members, speaking with people, and then prioritizing features. And we had to learn everything, learn to become a tech entrepreneurs, learn to run tech teams. Like we knew nothing about all of this, so then you learn super fast when you have no choice.
Yeah, it's the best way to learn, just doing it, isn't it?
And you've got a bit of a background in tech and SaaS and things. You understand this, you guys do, yeah?
Software's brutal, yeah. Software. So like that's our background was a fitness company that had an app, and software. It's so interesting because what people want isn't what you should focus your time on some of the time, and they're suggesting things, and it's like 10 or 20 or 30 or maybe even 100 people or 1,000, but actually then they don't use it, and you just spend all this money and waste it, and it's not a feature, and it's so brutal. And people really don't understand this when you suggest all these things, and they get annoyed, but it's like that that it will not be used. But no, I envy software companies. Software companies like this, and then as soon as it gets it right, it just booms. And
look, we've been coding this for 5 years. Like people think we are an overnight success. They see us everywhere, but like I've had full. At some point I had lodgers in my house, literally paying the developers. Like when we started, like because there were no money, no revenue. It's like a restaurant. You need quite a bit of capital into building the whole thing before you start to get 50 quid at a time bills. So it's similar. It's like a proper J-curve system where you need to invest a lot. But equally, that's interesting because if I had the mindset of a startup entrepreneur or tech entrepreneur, with no way we would have done like we did, because we started with the really heavy database, like all the stuff the customer don't care about, but we cared about as the engineer, just to do our little filter. And then we should have started with the pretty front end, the pretty thing, and run some tests, fail fast, see what people care about, and things like that. But because we built it for ourselves, like we invested more than you would if you would to do this as a business, like it wouldn't make sense. So now we reap the reward of that because we have a stupidly strong infrastructure that is really created a moat and a barrier to entry for anyone to copy us or to get into our field. So because we've been stupid enough to do this crazy 2-3 years of just creating the database and the infrastructure for the database to be built on, and then with no other reward than say, oh, yeah, that's quite cool, I can do less viewings, So we're a bit stupid, like, but now we are where we are, which is a bit crazy.
It's cool, like you don't know what you don't know, like when you're in the business. And how is your day-to-day now? Like, are you stupidly busy? Like over the last year, has your schedule gone like that, or are you starting to now having the team being able to balance and be a bit more focused?
You go through phases, like so every level has its next level, and other devil, so you've got new and bigger problems, so we did a couple of fundraising, and then every time you think you're a millionaire because you got some money in the bank, and then you burn through it quite quickly, So
especially software companies.
So like I've got some guys on 6-figure salaries, like it's crazy, like I didn't have a 6-figure salary when I was working, so, and then you got teams of got like 12 developers now, most of them are in the UK. Like it's a big it's a big investment, and then everything takes a lot longer than you'd want it to be, and there's a big lag between the investment in the team and the thing coming out on the other side. So I think the more, like, let's say, I don't know, I can't really share with, I can't really remember and give you in a structured way like what were the different phases and different things, but certainly this year has been very much on like growing the team, investing in the team, and then discovering problem I didn't know I had, like, so with more than 30 of us now, and it's like leadership, and then you come into this with, so I always had I don't know, me and the other co-founders, we always had a really strong work ethics, even as employees. And I can't complain about the team that we have now. They are great, but it's you think everybody's going to go at it the same way you are, and it's like, well, it's a bit different, so you learn these things, like nobody cares as much as you do, kind of thing. But although they are very, very driven and they are proper good, we're really, really lucky. We've attracted awesome people. So, people who built like competitors to Rightmove before, like Purple Bricks and stuff like that. So like
Very
proper,
cool.
Yeah,
like
that's awesome.
corporate, like big prop tech companies you would have heard about, some other like in the M&A space. So we've got lots of skills in like really cool industries we want to get involved in as well. So yeah, like at the moment, I think it's more like the operations. Like you build the product and then you need to start building the business, which is different. So but it's all really, really interesting. So we love solving problems. I love like the members. So we get we run calls every week. So we run lots of customer success type calls. So group calls for different strategies, Q&A, like where people demo their screen, show people how to find deals and whatever their strategy. Do a bit like more like me, I'm sharing my frameworks once a week on different things, and you get really addicted to this feedback. People really depending on it, So we're doing I'm doing an interview tomorrow with someone who's become a really good friend. He's done 30 HMO deals in the
Wow.
last 18 months on the platform.
It's crazy.
It goes, yeah, there's no way I would have done,
Very
out of that, without this, So it's really, really rewarding. And then knowing what property did for us and seeing the impact, you can have, times 1,000. Like you start to, shift to, I don't know, we are like very much impact driven. It's very, very interesting. Like, so yeah, it's really, really interesting. And every level you learn different thing. So, and we love like driving without the stabilizers and figuring it out, and then next step is remove the stabilizer and like figuring it out. So we live outside the comfort zone and we put ourselves some constraints just where we have no choice, So, and I probably recommend this to anyone, So whatever you're doing, you want to be always on the edge, like always, it needs to be uncomfortable all the time, and then the discomfort becomes comfortable, So, and then you get really used to it. And then we live in this space. We've got a really good feedback loop from people who are really doing really well from the tech we build for them. Again, because it's property, I think if it was something to get, I don't know, some delivery app or some sorts, it would have the same impact. Like people change their whole livelihood, because of it. So and it's quite rewarding, really. So
Yeah, one's making people financially free, and the other one's making them probably more lazy in a delivery app. But no, I think people.
that's really
it's the
interesting.
heart.
It's like just on picking on that, and that's really, really interesting because this loops back to what you were saying about the feature, like prioritizing based on what people tell you and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really lucky with the co-founders. I'm one of 3 co-founders on Property Filter, me, my best man, and his brother. And they really, really need to understand things. They cannot get influenced by anyone's opinion. Like I'm more of a people person. And they're like proper introvert, and they need to understand it for themselves, which means they've really challenged the statu quo of all things. So I would get bombarded by all this feedback, and they're like, well, we need to do this, and they're like, well, but why? What do we do after? What do we do 5 minutes before? What do we do after? And they've held this fort of having a very much a result-driven, kind of feature release prioritization thing, and it links really well to what you're saying about like now it's got this impact because it was a lot of contrarian truth where we're like, well, nobody cares, but actually they were right, from the start, and it was just a compounded investment after investment of these decisions, one after the other, where I'll be like this, I don't know, you call it in English, this wind harrow thing that moves around, with the wind, so people say this, people say that, and you get very distracted. So, and then you get a bit lazy where you don't ask yourself the right question. So
It's a lot of noise. Yeah, I think it's super easy to just listen to everyone, but once you have that platform built and there's hundreds of people coming in there asking for stuff, then you start to realize what people want, and there's a balance between what people want and what people are asking for. But
yep.
going to what you said about like people, like 100%, I think the hardest thing about owning your own business and even just getting into property, not even people they forget that like when you get into property, no matter what you're doing, as we build our portfolio, you're still building a business. You still have to deal with contractors who are people. You have to deal with lawyers or
Solicitors,
solicitors or
yeah,
estate
Yeah,
agents or like,
management.
then you get tenants, and this every time it always comes back to people. So if you're not a good person, people person, I think people struggle. And I think, like you said, like just learning that, it is hard because you got 30 different personality types. We got 8. 30 would be
yeah,
like crazy.
And you know,
It's next
what I
levels.
find so hard about it, I think when you kind of growing a startup, like you look at someone else that's maybe growing a business and you think like, oh, they're a business owner, and there's kind of this like halo around them, and then you become a business owner and you realize you don't feel any different, and it's all exactly the same. You're just now running a business. Like you don't suddenly have this like
Just more
uber
noise.
confidence because you built a business. And I think like for me with all the people management, that's like the weirdest thing is like people looking up to you now, like you're the boss, and it's like a weird kind of mindset to get into, to actually be that leader and like have that confidence. Because you kind of waiting to have this click, or at least I am, of like, oh, I'm a business owner now, so that confidence there, it doesn't just come, like you're still the same, everything's the same, but suddenly there's all this other stuff going on, and that leadership I think takes, for me at least, like it takes time, but it's really rewarding, isn't it, when you build that team?
yeah. But so for me, it's because we have this, I don't know, somehow this drive to live outside the comfort zone. It sort of happens to us. So, and then because you purposely get into this situation where you don't leave any choice, so you take decisions where you just cut out the choice. You have to grow. It's build or die, it's grow or die. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of the successful businesses is where there's no alternative. So if you're building your portfolio, if you are doing SA, if you are doing like building a specialist letting agency for short-term let, which I prefer to call to, I'm 2 deals away from retirement with my rent to SA. So anyway, so if
I
you're
love
building
how
your
much you love rent to rent. You love rent to rent.
I don't have anything against it as a strategy, but I don't like the package in which it's sold.
yeah, it's how it's
And I think it's very, very misleading. And I've grown to be more and more opinionated about it because it attracts people who are not necessarily business minded. They want to quit the job, but they're the ones with maybe not the most capital. But I think property is very forgiving. You buy some buy to lets, you get some tenants in there, covers the mortgage. If you don't buy some things, if you don't do anything stupid, you'll be all right. And I find like SA is actually like this entry strategy is actually the ones where you need more business acumen. And I had zero business acumen when I started Property Filter, so we just had to learn all of this. So I understand all the growing pains, of operations, finance, and year ends and bookkeeping, like all the stuff, all of
mm,
this stuff, you don't know you need. And it's all these all these little things of admins and operations and finance that make all the difference. But the problem is people who are led to go into like a rent to SA, and they are told that you're just a few deals. Like it's the unit is the deals. The unit is not your cash flow, your P&L, and your balance sheet, because nobody understands that. The unit is like you're 2 deals away because it's £1,000 cash flow per deal, and then all you need
Which
to
we just
replace
know
your
is
job
not
is
true.
£2,000. And this is where
Yeah.
someone leaves a good, maybe a good hospitality job or a good job in whatever industry, to have to work they leave the 9 to 5 to move to the 5 to 9,
But
like
making less money.
changing toilet rolls and all that. So all
Yeah.
these businesses, they only work at scale. Like all your rent agency, it works because you've got dozens and dozens of units. And then business is people and systems. So it's just understanding all of this stuff. So I think there is space in rent to rent to, I think, have some more like business, business entrepreneurial, support content training. I'm not too sure what it would look like, rather than some of the stuff that exists, So I'm not sure where we were when I took this full tangent there, but sorry about that. But
I just wanted
No,
to
I
pick
mean,
up
it's
on it.
not
It was intriguing.
point.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a few points throughout that I mentioned. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pull up on that because I could tell he's got a voice on that." Um, I can't remember where you were talking about. I think you were talking about we're talking about
Talking
people
about
management,
leadership. Talking about like leadership.
Yeah,
yeah, you grow into it, so you grow into it. So, and then whether you like it to, whether you want it or not, you're a leader. Even if it's just you, if it's you, maybe you have a VA which is doing your booking and things like that. You need to take decisions, and you need to attract people. And I've learned that it's easier to sell a product or a service compared to sell someone a life choice of coming on the bus with you. And being on a journey and attracting the right talent. We've been very, very fortunate to attract really awesome people. And I think there's a lot to be said around, there very much is a lot to be said around just your own leaderships. And it starts with your own standards, It's like, do you respect yourself? Do you say, do you do those things you would say? And then all of a sudden you've got some traction with yourself. And then you have people who, even if it's just a VA, people love, like they love working for you. And then before you know it, you attract people you didn't know you needed, you didn't know you could attract people. And it just happens to you, So, but I think it does start with having holding yourself to, good standards. And it's just as basic as doing the stuff you say you were going to do,
So true.
yeah.
Lead the
I
way.
love it. Yeah, I love it. I think people, you have to be leader. Like, you have no choice or your business fails. Like, there's no business that can have a bad leader that survives long term. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. It's going to
And
come crumbling down at one point.
And a lot of it can be packaged in some fluffy things, like, so now I understand like the value of like vision, mission, and things like that. But even though I didn't fully embrace it as like an activity of preparing this stuff, we had it, we had it one way or another. And then and then it's the same. You need when we bootstrap Property Filter, and then we decided we wanted to do something, and we had to learn from scratch. I had to sell to the first members, like the vision of this, because it was nowhere near where it was there, and people put good money into it, like to start with. And I can't believe, I'm so grateful for the or pre-launch memberships members, people who bought a yearly plan, like for half the price or whatever. But like, this is how we kept the lights on for a good year and a half, just to build what we need to build to progress, And then you need to, and whatever you do, if it's selling to landlords, you need to sell in the vision that you're going to look after the property. This is your vision. You're creating this brand. You're creating your vision is this. And then this is leadership. So you have the leadership with your customer, which can be landlords, vendors. So you need to make people think and believe that you're the best person to do this transaction with. You're the only you can occupy some headspace where you're the only person they want to sell the property to, whatever the price. You can occupy some headspace where you're the only person they want to give you their property on management. And in the same place, you're the only person someone wants to work for. Or things like that. So.
You want them not to go look for the other software or the other management company. It's literally like you're the only person they ever talk to. It's just, yeah, cool, I like you, I trust you, we're going to sign up. Same thing when they come to Property Filter. It's like, oh yeah, I see people getting deals. I know other people that have got that. Yeah, I'm going to subscribe. Why not? You don't even have to look to see if there's anything that can do it. It's just, I trust it, I buy it, great. And you become the Mercedes, or, I mean, I don't really like Mercedes, but you get it. You get that nice branded car that people just will go spend ridiculous money for, because it's people. So I love it. I think I didn't think we're going to be talking about business stuff today. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Just going where it goes, Yeah.
It's good.
It is such a one point though, isn't it? Because like there's so many elements to property, like you're saying, that are businesses. Like you said, there are certain situations where okay, you buy a few like buy to lets and it's not. But there's so many other like property strategies that are a business, and you've got to have that side to it if you're going to do that, right? And that's kind of what we're learning as we go along. It's how you do it all. But yeah, there's a lot to be learned with that side of the scaling, whatever business is.
And it's looping back to what we said earlier. There's only 3 strategies really. It's like you're here for the cash flow every month. You're here to make a profit, a capital event, or you're here for like you just park some cash in some boring assets that are gonna pay you long term, the true passive stuff. That's a framework I got from Dan Hill. He's calling the wealth hierarchy: cash flow, profit, assets, and that's all the strategies there are. Cash flow. This is your short term specialist. Letting business. For me,
might change our brand name to that. I might change it to short-term specialist management.
Yeah, your SA, SA management. It's all of these things. It's very noisy. It's systems. It's people. It's you need to invest in it. You need to have procedures. How do you deal with customers and things like that. Like landlords onboarding. What are the steps? If you want to scale, you need to have all these things in place. And again, people think they can. They're 2 deals away from retiring, and it's you can this can't work if you don't have this mindset where it needs to. You're not the unit is not the deals, it's the commercial balance. It's where where the numbers needs. How many units do you need to afford a property manager? How many units do you need to afford all this booking and whatever systems you need, so that you don't have to be involved in the running of it, and you can just focus on growth. And then your job as the CEO owner of your company is just growing it. So that's where people don't really understand, so like there's lots of these cash flow strategies. There are cash flow businesses. So you need to go into it with the business skills. I think it's relevant because all of you guys will be doing essay and things like that. And I see too many people going to it a bit readily where they think we're going to have 1 or 2 deals and it's going to be fine. The reality is they create themselves another job, and next level strategy is your profit, brokering, and then you go up the levels like this.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, you have to progress.
Yeah, go on, Zach. Go on, sorry.
No, fine. What were we saying? Ladies
like
first. I can't cut you off.
I feel like it's always delayed for me on this. I don't know. No, I was just gonna say, like, it's so true. Like, we talk about that a lot, and like, this is our cash flow business, and then it's not the only thing. And then like we're working on like that team and building that team, and then we'll be a complete beginner at what those profit plays are and what those steps are in doing that, and then building like that wealth, which is obviously the top part. So yeah, we're like very much on the journey of learning what those next steps look like, and that's kind of the new. That will be the new.
You don't need to know everything. So when you are where you were building, the SA management, business you have now, you're not cluttering your mind with like, how do I do a commercial to resi development,
Yeah.
And that's, we talked about this a bit at the start, that people go into, I want to rent to rent, I want to do rent to rent, I want to do commercial to resi. You say, well, you can only pick one, so it's not going to work. So, and we see, we do a lot in trying to help people focus on one thing in the calls we run and things like that. I think it's the simplest advice is like, just why are you in it for? Is it for your cash flow? Are you ready to build a business? Are you happy maybe with your job and maybe you can go part-time to free up some time so you can work on your profit play and actually making twice a year 20K times 2, or maybe you're sourcing 5 deals a year. Like, can this then buy your buy to let, and it's just like very simple strategy, and you do just one thing at a time. But I don't know if it's just the social media or the different. There's a lot more content than there used to be now, and then people are just distracted, do everything, and then they end up doing nothing.
I think people are just looking for, like, a lot of people are in a situation that they don't like, and they're looking for an escape, and they want to find the easiest and the thing that looks so not unrealistic, but like it's just kind of like anyone can do it, and they feel like it's handed to them on a silver platter. If you do this one simple thing, you'll be able to quit your job. And it's really like not the case. And I'm a big believer with rent. When we talk about rent to rent, I think rent to rent is a strategy that can enable you to gain a lot of skills, but also get your cash that you can leave your job or you can go down and you start to get a little bit of cash flow, but it's not something that is a generational wealth or something that you want to scale so that you're just doing. Because I think about right now, we have 70 properties under management. If I had 70 rent to rents, that is like having 100 grand overheads on rentals. And if it was January where you lose money, or me and Eve had to go out, we went away for a month, and let's say things happened and then we dropped like 20%, we could lose like 30 grand, 40 grand. So they just wipe out like month profits. It just doesn't make sense. But now part of this podcast is like, we're now in a position where we have cash flow and we've set that up for, to continue to grow. And now we want to do like, right, okay, how do we invest? How do we become an investor now rather than a cash flow crazy run around 24/7, 365 all the time, even though that's still going to happen? How do we invest with that 20% of time that we can?
Yeah. I think in everything you do, you want to think about the leverage for your next step. So if I go back to people wanting to leave their job, and I look back to your, the stage you are now, sometimes the solution is not quitting the job, but it's acquiring a skill so that you're more valuable to the marketplace and maybe you do a better job, And people leave their jobs quite early, and there's no way we'd be where we are in Property Filter in terms of scaling teams, managing complex product development pipelines, raising finance with VCs, and scaling partnerships, being taken seriously by like the big players in our industry. There's no way we would have come out of high school and done this. We like the three founders, we have I'm not saying it's a must-have, but we have degrees. We've worked 10 years in some corporate things. There's things we hated doing, but we learned. You win or you learn. In either way. And I think people don't tend to see the positive in their whatever situation they are sometimes, because they just compare themselves with whatever other people's situation is, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. It's boring, And the truth is they are learning, and then they can engineer, like they can go and work, like, so the guys who work for us, we take immense pride in helping grow people, and there's lots of companies that help you grow, and will invest in you, and you'll have mentors and things like that on the job, like you won't have by paying someone on a course, and I think this is the first stage where there's lots to be learned. And I can just talk from my experience, where there's no way we would have done the stuff we've done if we wouldn't have learned these things along short career, 10 years working for 10 years for someone else, And then where you are now, I think it's looking at it in a similar way, where you want to look at leverage. Now your leverage is you are in 70 properties, you have connection with landlords, your connection with the industry, and you can leverage what you have to build what you've got next, but also work on what you've got next to for the next level as well. So, for example, one thing you could do, so you understand that the cash flow is sorted, now you move into profit play. So profit could be like sourcing, where you get fees for brokering deals. It could be assisted sales or flips, So basically, an assisted sale is a flip where you don't pay stamp duty, and all of these you don't own the assets, but because you don't need the capital, you can actually do a much larger volume of it. So it's a great strategy, because as far as the agent is concerned, you're the one buying a deal a week, and then so you get paid to build this really good skill of finding deals, really good skill of finding angles on deals, and you get paid to growing your network, where everybody in Cardiff will know you guys, because you're the guys who buy a deal a week, So, and people want to go straight to like, I want to do this big unicorn deal and be solid for life, and then it's a lot easier, if you leverage every step of the way. So basically you could get paid. I'm suggesting to you, I don't know, maybe you've got this all planned out already, and I don't want to be, maybe I'm going out of my way here, but
that's good. I'm suggesting maybe people are learning a different way. It's good. It's a good thought process.
So yeah, I would say like, if I were in your boots, and also you got huge leverage from your brand, from your network already, you got already good connection. So it's a lot easier than if you were starting to do sourcing tomorrow. It's like, oh, I just came out of a crash course. I'm a new deal sourcer. Like it's a lot easy, it's a lot easier because you've done all of this other work, or where you are now. So use what you have now, but also think, okay, what can you build other than, like this profit play? Like, so you basically are going to get paid to build a network of all the people who are going to be giving you deals for life, and you get paid for it. So that's really an exciting place to be. Like,
yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's
I mean,
cool.
we're like refurbing our own house right now, and that's like our first taster, isn't it, Zach?
horrible.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? It's been like this. It's been like this wave. Like, we are gonna be fine, and it's like,
Oh
oh,
my goodness.
there's these issues. Oh
Yeah.
crap.
No, I love.
Oh no, we're good.
But
But
also, it's hard when it's your own. It's hard when it's your
oh
own,
yeah,
because you live in it, and you look at it all the time, and then you get frustrated by everything. Yeah, it's really hard.
We're lucky we haven't lived in it. We're very lucky. So
yeah. We're lucky we're not
yeah,
living in the refurb.
must be a bit different. But
Okay.
we're doing like rewiring, repiping the whole house, extension, roof, like back to brick, remodeling, adding a bathroom. Like we've done it all in one go.
Yeah,
Get rid of the copper
We're like
pipes out of the.
fire. Yeah, lead
So,
pipe.
yeah.
Maybe it's masochistically, because my background is building bridges. I don't think I've driven on any of the bridges I built, because they are far away and stuff, But I'm just used to the site, and I love the site. So it's like, I love this mess, I love organizing this.
Yeah.
And I think with what you've done with your business, you could, again, this is leverage, It's like all of this, you then now know all these things, and then you can put it. And I know you've got a good system and process mind with it. So now your schedule of work going forward are going to be ace, So, and then when you do it once, twice, and then it's just, and then you forget about, like, it's just easier and easier.
Yeah, I love it. I'm
it's
having
true.
the best time doing it. So fun. I
He
can't wait
loves
to
the process. I'm like the numbers, and he's like the ops, which works out perfect. So
Well, when I was
the
when I was
finance.
little, I would draw floor plans of houses and design. Like that was what I did as a kid. Like that was my idea of fun as like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old.
Mum was playing
So,
video
yeah.
games.
I'm obsessed. I've always been obsessed. I used to make my mum take me to like new build like show homes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
She'd be like, "What do you want to do on the weekend?" And I'd be like, "Can we go see some houses?" Like I just want to go walk around houses. That's all I wanted to do. So yeah.
We're closing a lot of open loops, like, because we talked about you need to love this,
Yeah.
like these the people who love it the
True.
most that really make it the longest. So I think if you like concrete stuff, building things, holding things in your hands, and you like the idea of this design and things like that, like it's you're probably in the right asset class, in the right industry.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
I mean,
goodness.
yeah. Thank the Lord. Yeah,
And if you don't find a partner who does, and then you do the number, and you let them put floor plans,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, pass it
Yeah,
over,
yeah.
run the numbers, see if it works.
Zach,
Use property filter.
your strength is the numbers, though, isn't it, Zach? Like more than me. Like that's
Yeah, I mean, like
really...
like for me, like looking at like property filter and doing that, like finding the deals. And I know you like doing that, but like analyzing it and seeing, oh, this is a good opportunity, and then like stacking it. That's kind of like, that's fun. And then when it comes to then organizing and coordinating contractors and picking like bathrooms and all the above, it doesn't excite me at all. It's like, cool, how much profit? This is great. And this is why, like, for us, like, why property filter is something that we will use even more so when we're starting to build it, is the fact that we know, because we've done it and we just like looked at Rightmove, like, we don't have any time. Time is not a friendly asset of ours. Like, it's
you don't stand a chance.
It does stand a chance. And we would be the people that would do one or two viewings or put an offer in one or two properties, and it will fall through, or it won't be there. Where you said, like, there's no way that we have the ability, or business owners, whoever that want to do it themselves, have the ability to find the deal themselves at volume. Just impossible without having something in place that allows them to do it. That's that's probably your whole mindset really with property filter.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, because whatever the situation, you don't have time. So people are in a job and they tell me, "Oh, I don't have time," and they believe that once they quit the job, once they've got their 5 days back, they can waste it on doing loads of random viewings, like, and then you can only do this for a period of time before you either are disheartened or you just stop and do something else and you go back to work. There's just no way. So the sooner you value your time, and the sooner you are frugal with your time, and you say, okay, I need to get results, and it's just about spending your time. It's about what are you doing today that makes the needle move. What is income generating in what I've done today. And sadly, most people don't value their time. And weirdly, we have a lot of out of area people who do really well. So people in London investing, in around the country, in Wales, in the north, or wherever, and people overseas, because they have a direct cost to the viewings. They'll pay like a viewer, or they'll pay a friend or something like that. So all of a sudden, because they value like the 50 quid or 30 quid viewing more than their own hour or their own afternoon. And then because there is this cost, they value, like, property filter is great for, they see the value a lot quicker than other people, because all of a sudden they move from spending 500 quid a month on viewing fees to like 60 quid a month on viewing fees for the same results, and it's like, oh great, immediate ROI, and then it's a process for especially people leaving their job. They don't really understand that you need to invest in a business before, money in, money out. And they're like, oh well, I'll start to systemize my business and value my time when I start to get money from properties. Like, well, the real cost is you not getting any deal for the next 2 years. Like, how much is that costing you? Like, what's your goal? Oh, I want 5-10 grand a month. All right. So every month you spend without this 5-10 grand a month is costing you 5-10 grand a month, innit? So if you achieve this goal a month earlier, you'll be 5-10,000, 5-10,000 pounds better off, multiply this by 2 years, you're 200, you're 200 grand in. So it's quite a funny thing, because I can't really change people's mindset around this, like they have, we try to help as much as we can, but
yeah, especially money. Money's very hard. People have a really weird. I even can relate with. Before I let my mindset when we started this business. Sorry, I was such a different person when it come to money. I was like, oh no, we don't spend that. Oh no, we can do it cheap. Oh, we don't do that. Or when we make the money, we'll spend it.
Like a scarcity sense, what you'd call it, right? Like that scarcity headspace.
Yeah, and now it's like, how can I spend the least amount of money for the thing that I need, but then that gets an ROI? So we're in a position where, we're in a position right now where we're very heavily into purchasing something that's going to get a massive ROI back. But you have to spend the money to get the money, but it's going to return. But like, I remember when open confession here, I remember when we were. Because I remember we had a demo from you with one of a mentor. God, this would have been like January 2023. Yeah, we would have had like 2 or 3 units. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I was like, wow, we're going to use this, but we won't pay for it now. We'll get it when we need deals. It's like, when do you need deals? I want deals all the time, don't I? But now my mindset's different.
So it's funny now, because we've been around for a few years, where people have seen us speak at events, or we get invited where people ask us to present to their group and stuff like that. And then you see people again, so you see people who didn't take the thing 6 months ago, and they're like, oh, wait, so what are you doing? Still the same, It's like, oh, did you know that John over there took the thing, started, subscribe to, and it's a few quid a month, subscribe to Property Filter, and he's now got 2 more deals, It's like, so like, what about you? And so people don't really understand. Yeah, people don't really get this. It's the cost of not getting the results, And then you only need to spend 6 months, 18 months achieving nothing before you are disheartening, or we see people come back, like it's quite, and then we're happy to help, of course. But can you imagine the results you would have had, if you would have started to do good deals 2 years ago, like, and then everybody thinks, oh, I should have bought before and things like that. It's like, you need it now, like you need, especially this, because it's people and systems, so, and it's not just about us, it's all sorts of subscriptions, so I think we need, in this cloud, software cloud space, there's, thousands of companies who spend literally millions to building some tools that you can leverage for a few quid a month. Like, how many employees would it take to, like you would not do your accounting without zero, like, or like, oh, you have the shoebox and
QuickBooks or
then
whatever.
the pain,
Yeah.
the pain of it, and you would like
Yeah.
you wouldn't do certain things, like and like CRMs, and I don't know. We must spend 10 grand a month on just subscription on software, but the value is, it saves us
It's so
10
true.
employees, So
Yeah, we pay astronomical, like on channel managers or on all sorts of systems, because it saves money, like, and it's organized,
yeah,
and like even today I was just like
you
wanting to,
get more done in less time, and you save money, and it's
yeah.
actually cheaper. Yeah.
So yeah, a big thing that I and Eve learn is like understanding what your hourly rate is. So for example, if someone wants to be making 10 grand a month, what is their actual hourly rate on a 38-hour week? Is if it's, I don't know what that would be. That's probably like 50 quid, 60 quid an hour. So basically a subscription, let's say Property Filter or Zero, is half an hour or an hour of their actual, what they're worth. But they're investing in that early to get there. So you act like you're already making 10 grand a month sensibly. You obviously don't go buy like a Porsche. Like, you invest in what you can in your means. But I think, and we find that right now with, like, for example, let's say a landlord, it's like we're looking at a property and it's going to make him an extra 700 or 8,000 pounds a month, but they need to spend 3 or 4 grand furniture. So they're going to make that ROI in 5 months. But it's like, oh, but I have to pay the furniture. It's like, yeah, but you're going to make your money back in 5 months. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but if I do this, I don't have to spend it. It's like, yeah, but then you're not.
It's the old point,
you lose. Yeah, you're losing. So, and some people are different. You can't please everyone, but it's it is such a barrier to people's success. Is money, spending money. So
but
super intrigued.
For me, the timing is like the cost of not getting the results you want, and then for how long is that? Like, what's the actual cost there? And then then it. When we talked about living in a bit of a discomfort zone, and this is how you grow, etc. We closing lots of open loops today. It's very much the same, It's very much the same, if you always live within your thing, if you don't create so this creates the urgency, like, because you really need to want, to do your 5-10 grand a month, otherwise, if you're not obsessed about it, why, it's never going to happen, if you don't think about it all the time, if you don't make the needle move every day in that direction, and you confuse like activity and results. So you're like, oh, I've been very busy today, and then been doing lots of networking and doing lots of admin, and I've made a few payments and all of this stuff, like none of this makes you money, So I think is re-centering with what actually makes you progressing, like what activity do you do so that it actually results. It's not just some activity being busy. And then what can make you go quicker and faster towards this, this goal here. And the best urgency, you can engineer your environment. You can just engineer your environment, by saying like, it's costing me, like, from where I am now to where I want to be, it's costing me 5 grand a month of not getting these results. What am I doing about this? And then it just, it's kind of it's not a trick. I think you can really resonate with it quite tangibly. And then all of a sudden there's some urgency for you to, right, I'm now let me stop doing all of this, stop this noise, and remove a lot of things. And it's not about doing more things. It's very much about doing less, like 10 times less than most people do 10 times too many different activities they don't need to do. And like just need to cut all of it down. Like maybe they don't need to go for coffees and meet someone, but there's a lot more stuff, they could be doing that makes things progress. And I think they might like urgency, So I think the mental model I use is I need this revenue a month, and it's costing me that much revenue a month until I get there. And then all of a sudden you invest in the team, you invest in whatever tool and whatever you need, to get there, because then it's pennies compared to this, this money you're not making.
Yeah, I like it. I always think, like talking like it's already happened. For me, that creates that panic, almost like that healthy level of urgency of like, when this happens, you're talking like that goal is already in existence. You're not really giving yourself a choice, like you.
Yeah, I coach the team on that as well. So because it's ingrained in people's, it's like if that's like, well, what are you talking about? Like it's not a matter of if, it's when, So and thoughts become things, and what you think about, you bring about, and all this stuff, and then your language is so important. So, and I don't know why, like we've got this, I've got this. You somehow need, like, I don't think it was conscious, I don't know if it was conscious for me to think like that, but I found myself not picking up on people, but like coaching people on nice, like,
Mm,
oh yeah, this is not how we talk, around here, like, so.
so true.
I
What do you
agree.
think? What do you think you picked this up?
Well, like
Um,
coaching people.
No, I
this
mean like
mindset.
like understanding language, like.
Oh,
Yeah.
language. Yeah, it's so important.
I do
Eve, I
think
mean,
part of it is like, go on. This is my delay again. I'm not interrupting you on purpose. Go on. You go.
no, I was gonna say, Eve, you did literature, so you can detail language. You give it that literal response.
Yeah, I'm quite like passionate about it. I think yeah, I think it kind of goes back to like when you're that obsessed about something, you do just like start getting into that mindset of like, there's no choice in the matter. Like it has to
Mm.
happen. You have to want it enough to feel like that, I think. But there's a lot of it that comes from like learning and talking to mentors and having these kind of conversations where you're looking at people who've achieved more
Yeah,
and
I guess it's the people you
well,
surround yourself with, is the content you consume, the people you surround yourself with, and then you become
So
more like
true.
these people. That's probably right. Yeah.
yeah, so fun.
I mean, I certainly wasn't born with that. Like when I left my job, I was just some idiot with no job.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think people need direction. So people, there's born skill, and it's deep within people, or some people have it surface level. So if I was to relate to myself, I mean, I was always like go 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 go, and probably the best employee you could find, like, would
Yeah.
treat it like my own business. And I've only recently learned the power of what you say is what you are. So one word that Aneve knows this, because I tell her
You
anytime I
both
say it,
try
it
and do
comes
it.
out, is like, I'm tired, like I'm
Mm.
sad, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated. As soon as you say these words, it's you're basically taking that energy. But if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
if you just avoid saying that, and you're just focusing on the good energy, it's actually astronomical. Like, I never felt tired in the day. I used to always feel tired in the day, but I
Yeah,
said
it's
I'm
great.
tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
100%.
uh,
Well, I was so guilty of that. Like
yeah,
French, they moan all the time and stuff. I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I was the same.
But
So you're very untypical Frenchman, but.
oh yeah, yeah.
it's so
Love that.
crazy. Like literally, your brain doesn't know the difference between
Mm.
like you tell it and what's reality. So
Yeah,
you like
yeah.
your subconscious is like the driver of your life. Like you have to control it by feeding it the right information to drive it in
Yeah.
the right
Yeah, yeah.
direction. Where the
I
words
was
come from, which is bigger.
yeah, no, that's so true. I was reading Life in Half a Second, was recommended to me, and they said there was this study where this person got told they had some diagnosis for something, some disease that was just made up, but it was terminal. They weren't going to be able to fix it, and it was made up. It was placebo. That person died 3 months later, fully healthy, everything. And and it was another case study, and it happened again. And it's the mind
So really
will
intense.
affect your. Yeah, I know it's crazy. But they didn't think that was going to happen. They were like, "Wow, that was like a
Yeah.
crazy outcome."
Oh,
The
it's
mind
insane.
controls the body more than people know, and if you don't have this, or you don't focus on this, and you don't educate that, whether you want to be financially free, or grow a property, or grow a business, or have 30 team members, or run a property, what was it, service agency, whatever what was going, yeah, you need to work on that mindset. And I know all these courses talk about mindset, but there's a difference between like motivating and actually learning what it takes to be successful, because it's not easy, and that's the problem. There's challenges every day, and there's 10 of them, and some of them are severe.
I think on the probably the best thing is, yeah, I think it's really hard to say, oh, I'm buying a mindset course. I don't really know how this would work, but it's more
Mm.
the modules of the course. I think there's a lot more you can do by just engineering an environment. So turning off the TV, like switching off with some friends, and it's like, look, guys, I'm growing with or without you, like, and you're just pulling me down. So it's just rough, but you have to do it. So you engineer your environment, and then you try to spend more time with people who are like, maybe if it's sports, like usually the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So you stick around people who
Mm.
are running triathlons, all of a sudden, like your business goes better, So I think there's not, like there's no like things you can buy or pills you can get to change your mindset, but I think you can be more purposeful. And a lot of the stuff we talk about is really about that, is having clarity. So is having a long, hard discussion with yourself, or like ponder around what you really want, and really like what the fuck are you doing, like, and it's like, things need to change, Yeah. And then you can engineer your environment. So it's maybe, so me, I was ruthless, like zero socials, zero, like, it's just because I need to be what I need to become a different person to deliver on this new different thing. And it costs nothing in terms of there's no pill to buy, so, but you need to be quite clear, you need to be quite clear and honest with it, quite clear what you want and honest with yourself, and then you engineer your environment, spend less time with some people, spend less time with certain dopamine, and then look who you look up to and who you want to be spending some time with, and then you can then choose a peer group or do different things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've
100%.
definitely lost. I mean, we're not even that far into the journey, but I've definitely lost friends along the way because of that. And it's like it's hard in the moment, but actually, in the long run, it's like if someone's not there on the same page, even just supporting you, then it's fine. It's the energy you surround yourself with, isn't it? So, yeah, those things are all
No
true,
one's
aren't
going to
they?
agree. No one's going to agree with you to leave your job. No one's going to agree with you when you decide that you're going to become this big property investor and it's
Yeah,
too risky and you're going to lose all your money and you need to be safe and
Mm.
get a job. But that's because you don't blame them. You just they don't know what you know, and that's why we have different class tiers because of that. But man, I love this. This is great. This took a turn for. We started talking about things I didn't think we'd get into, which I
yeah. I'm
absolutely.
not sure what you wanted to talk about. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
good.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, definitely not the
Let's wrap
Olympics.
up by like telling us a little bit, just like about like where Property Filter's at right now, like what's
Yeah.
coming for it. Like give us some of the updates, like before we wrap up on where
Just the
things are
juicy
at.
stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So we're the highest rated platform to find deals. It's all about finding motivated sellers, all about doing more deals. People ask me, how does it compare with X and Y? I say, well, it doesn't really. So it's the platform. It's all about doing deals, So you can either be that person procrastinating on some stuff, or you can come and this is where we do deals, So very, very grateful for our community of members. Now we've got 1,400 people up and down the country, giving us calls every week, every day, because they find their first, their third, or their 30th deal, in the last 30 days, in the last 12 months. 30 deals in 30 days be nice. And it's very, very rewarding. So being able to invest. So we're not profitable. So we're just burning a lot of money every month, investing everything in the product and the service. We're very personable in engaging with the members, because nothing can beat 1,000 pair of boots on the ground. So we really know. So it's not so much what we've earned over the year, but it's very much been what we've learned, and we really know what people care about, what we need to build next. So at the time of recording this, there's like a couple of really huge feature release coming in August. One is a whole UI revamp, which is going to be a game changer. Because as I said at the
That's
start, so
exciting.
we build it for ourselves. So historically, it's been clunky because we never needed it to be pretty. But now that all the early adopters, if you like, if you think of the people who are queuing up to buy the next iPhone, all of these guys who want the new innovative, technology, they're all on Props Filter. And now we need to cross the chasm with people who are maybe not as tech savvy and things like that. So it's why we invested since the last 6 months in a lot of UI improvements, and it's be a lot more slick, a lot more modern, and it's just a lot easier to use. And a few things we've learned in the flow of how people work, it's just going to flow more in the terms of how they do their deals, really. So it's going to integrate a lot more in people's sort of day to day. It's really, really cool and exciting. Just 10 days, 2 weeks after that, we have a huge feature release, which is going to really disrupt the old industry, because it's going to allow you to send letters at scales, organize direct to vendor campaigns. So when I say campaigns, you program your letter 1, letter 2, letter 3, letter 4. You can cancel the campaigns, the one property when they phone you up. and things like that. So with this, we've taken a lot of learning from people who've done really well. So they get like 40% response rate on their letters. We baked all of this into the software. It's really, really impressive. So like people are going to do even more deals, like that. And then we're working on the mobile app as well, which is probably going to come a couple of months later. And then once people are scrolling on the toilet, like this is it.
That's game over. Yeah, that's huge when they can just be doing that all the time and just
know that
yeah.
As you know, we don't build it so you scroll because we hate the dopamine of Rightmove and the other guys, but
it's not like Rightmove on the toilet.
But there's a big. We have to fight big entrenched habits of people on their phones, and then basically just having the alternative. So some very serious people, they're just so used to looking at it on their phone. So that's the next thing. So it's all design, and now we're coding it, and then it's going to become a product of its own, where it's just going to do lots of stuff for integrate with your viewing and the AI assistants. You take your viewing tour videos, lots of really cool stuff. So
that's awesome. I think it's really cool that you get that app, because these people that are starting or wanting to get into business, also property, and they're wanting to find it, rather than spending hours on Rightmove, they can just go every day on the toilet at work, 15 minutes, just go through their good and bad deals, and then that's their day done.
So
so they can't say they don't have time. They can just on the toilet every day. But man, look, I think we really appreciate having you on here. Everyone that we know that's on Property Field to talk about how amazing it is, and obviously we use it ourselves. Though we haven't been looking for properties, we've used it and we will be using it because we don't have time. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next couple of years with you guys. It's going to be just roof off from here. I think that UI especially. I think that's just the next level where this business just flies. So I'm really excited for you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for the early support as well. So, and it was quite cool, conversing with you guys, talking about all things. So always appreciate it.
Love it. Well, look, I'm sure we'll get you on here in a year from now. You have 200 employees. Yeah. Love it. We'll see how many. Yeah, we'll see how many units we have compared to your employees. See if we can keep it back. Love it. All right. Well, look, pleasure as always.
Thanks a lot, guys.